Oh man, it's almost here. The summer blockbuster, starting with Age of Ultron and other movies. Everyone is pumped up. Everyone wants to stuff popcorn into their mouths and have a good time. It is the best time of the year. But before we get into that, I need to go back and talk about the best and the worst of April. Now, between March and April, I've been doing a little ducking and dodging. I skipped on a couple of movies last month because they aren't good, and I skipped on seeing The Longest Ride. So instead of seeing that movie, I saw a classic called Scarface, and it was great instead. But in theaters, there are two great movies that I want to talk about, and one of them is It Follows. This is a movie I could have saw last month, but didn't realize it was released already. But I saw it in early April during the week when Furious 7 came out, which is another great movie. But It Follows is a really clever movie which symbolizes sexual transmitted disease. This is a movie that turned that concept into a horror movie about a girl who gets into this weird sexual encounter with a guy, then suddenly these ghosts follow her, trying to kill her, and a way to get rid of these ghosts is to have sex with another person to pass the curse on to that person, but things don't go as planned. This movie kind of reminds me of The Babadook, viewing depression as a creature tormenting you, and I just love movies that are like that. The shots in this movie is something that you'll see in an old 80s movie, like a Stanley Kubrick film, and the soundtrack is just retro and amazing. Feels like a John Carpenter film, and it feels like that this film came out in the 80s, but it didn't. The visuals were creepy, the girl in the movie did a really great job. Not as great as The Babadook, but it's something you should definitely check out. Because this is the kind of horror film which is pretty different compared to some of the horror films out there today. And very suspenseful too. But speaking of suspense, here is another movie that got things right, Ex Machina. Now, not only that this is the best movie that I watched this month, but it's the best movie I've seen this year so far. This is a movie about a guy who gets into this deserted place to be part of an experiment with an AI robot, and as the movie progresses, the suspense starts to rise. This is a slow-paced film, but it does not get you bored. For most people. A couple of people might call this film too sciencey, too artsy, too boring, etc. But to me, this film really intrigued me. The acting and the cinematography, the score, which I forgot to mention in my review, I love it, man. You stay attached to the characters. When things happen, you want to know what's going on, and you are at the edge of your seat. And then you got some twists and turns you don't see coming. I love what this film was going for, and I had a really good time. And give this one a shot if you can. Ah, shoot. And now, time to talk about this little turd. Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. This is a movie that should not have existed in the first place. We did not need a sequel for this. And when this film came out, nothing new came out from this film. The only thing that is new about this film is that it's worse than the first. And I was extremely hesitant of seeing this movie. But the reason why I saw this film in the first place is because I'm a reviewer and that's what I do. The jokes are stale and they're kind of the same. Kevin James is just falling down and crashing into windows and walls because he's fat and fat people are funny. Well, do something more. The story sucks, the characters and the villains are just bland, and it's not funny for the most part. And you only chuckle at the parts where it's just plain retarded. It's a forgettable movie that no one will watch again, and that's how it is. I nearly gave this film 1 out of 10, but because I chuckled more than I did with Hot Tub Time Machine 2, I gave it a higher grade only as a theater experience. Because if you were to see this movie at home, then the experience will be much worse because people won't be around you and you're not gonna chuckle. And it will suck. And that's why it is the worst movie I have seen this month, and also one of the worst sequels I've seen this year. Now, this film had 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it is a little higher right now, but it's still a piece of shit. And it failed big time.
Yo, Ex Machina, get over here!
You see? That should be your entertainment. Alright, so along with Ex Machina, Furious 7, Unfriended and It Follows, they are really great movies, and they are better than the other one that I mentioned, and I should have just stayed home. It was a really interesting month. I have seen many films with different styles, and I liked it. And now, it's the summer blockbusters. Big movies are coming out. Age of Ultron is something that everyone and I is excited to see, and there are other movies this month that I'm pretty curious about. So between now and August, it's gonna be a ride, and I'm really interested. So that is my video of best and worst of this month. Thank you for watching. More videos on the way. Let the summer blockbuster begin!